Are you ready to finally quit your job? Look, I get it. I've been right there. I've felt that absolute urge inside of you to just push everything off your desk and just leave and never come back. I understand what it feels like to just see your life go by year after year and just see your dreams just slowly die. I understand exactly what you mean. I want to show you in this video the number one mistake I made when I quit my job and some tangible action steps that you can take to make sure that when you do quit your job that it's successful and that you can find happiness. Not only money, but also peace of mind. Let's go. Alright, if you're new to this channel, my name is Michael Leonard, creator of Inspire Your Success, and I left my corporate job just a little over 2 years ago now. And to be honest with you, it's still really hard to believe because at the time I was doing everything society had told me to do. I had climbed the corporate ladder, I had went to college, I had got the good grades, I had found a good job, I started investing in stocks, I bought a house, I did all the things that you're supposed to quote unquote do in your 20s, but I was miserable. Everything looked great on the outside, but on the inside, I felt empty. I felt like my life didn't really matter. I felt like I was just a cog in a machine. I felt like, well, I see some people doing it, but that's just not for me. And I started to get depressed. I started to just get kind of sad. I would drink too much. I would just numb myself so I didn't have to think about it. I would just keep going out and doing the things that society told me to do. I wasn't thinking for myself. I definitely wasn't investing in myself, which I'll talk about more in a second. But I was just going through the motions. I thought that money was the answer. Well, if you have been there, you understand that money is not always the answer. Now, don't get me wrong. Money is great. You need it. It can help a lot of people. But if it comes at the sake of your personal sanity and you find yourself miserable and depressed like I was, then it's just not worth it. So here's the thing. If you're right there, if you're going to a job and you absolutely hate what you're doing, or if you don't even like it, then I understand. In fact, everyone around you probably understands too, because statistically, 8 out of 10 people absolutely hate or dislike their jobs. Now, that is no way to go through life, in my opinion. As an average job or career, you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day working and commuting there. Now, I don't want you to be like me and so many other people out there that are just feeling lost and just, feeling like you're just living for the weekend. Because again, you only have a couple days you really get to enjoy, then you get the Sunday scaries, and it's just a horrible cycle that just keeps repeating and repeating unless you change it. Again, it's up to you. It's not up to your parents or your spouse or anyone else. It's up to you. So this is the first thing I want you to remember. If you're not happy and you want to quit your job, quit blaming other people. You've created the situation, but that means you can change it. You have to take 100% responsibility to make it happen. So once I finally took responsibility and started exiting the corporate world, I started to formulate a plan. As I like to call it, I engineered my escape from the 9 to 5. Really what I was doing is I was just thinking about all the ways that I could make money, because while I went to a job for 8 hours a day, I probably spent about 2 to 3 hours actually working. I know you know what I'm talking about. So what I was doing though is I was researching how to make money online. I was typing in things on YouTube and Google, reading endless amounts of content to try and figure out how people were actually doing it. Because after just mindlessly searching, I found all these Business Insider articles and Yahoo success stories of all these 20-somethings that were not only creating an epic business, but they were impacting lives in a positive way. Because that was the biggest thing for me at my job. It didn't matter. I was selling advertising. It really didn't matter. It wasn't helping that many people. Sure, it helped some business owners here and there, but the higher I got up in the company, the more national sales I was doing, it just wasn't anything that was really impacting the world. And it was really kind of tearing me up on the inside. I just hated going to work. So The biggest thing is that I started to research it. I figured out what was possible out there. And then I started to take action. I actually started a blog in 2016, supermillennial.com. I was fascinated with personal finance at this time. It was then where I thought that, if you have some impact on your finances, you can retire early. So I was learning about stocks and bonds and mutual funds. But I quickly realized that I would have to make millions and millions of dollars in a corporate job to ever actually have enough invested to retire early. It just didn't seem like the answer to me. It felt like I would have to wait forever down the line. So once I realized that my investments in a safe mutual fund were like 8 to 10% returns, it's just not going to help me retire, right? So I really started figuring out entrepreneurship and figured out what I could do to get going. So I started this blog, and it really changed my life because right after I started the blog, I was actually given an opportunity to interview for the highest level position. I thought this was it. I was going to be making over 6 figures. I was going to be ready to do it. And you know what? I prepared. People told me, "You got this, Mike. This is yours. Like, you've earned it." I went in there thinking I nailed it. I crushed it. And you know how it is. If you feel like you go into a test in school and you feel like you crush it, usually you fuck it up. And you know what? That's exactly what happened to me. I thought I had this job, and then I got called in for the feedback, and I got told I was too green. I wasn't smart enough. I didn't have enough experience. And I was crushed. My world came collapsing down on me. But you know what? Not getting that job was the best thing that ever happened to me because I used that rage and anger and frustration to start writing my very first book. So I started writing advice for my younger self. Again, this isn't a bestseller. You're not going to see it on charts or anything, but it got me to start taking action. I started the blog. I started to write this book, and I started to see how people were actually making money online. Whether they were freelance writers, bloggers, and just these digital nomads, I was fascinated with this stuff. But again, had I gotten that job, I don't think I would have pursued it because I would have had well over 6 figures, and honestly, it just wasn't that hard of a job for me. But again, I didn't get the job. So I'm glad it worked out because then within 18 months, I kept learning. I kept writing on the blog. I got a few posts to go viral, even though I was a horrible writer at the time. And I started to make a little bit of money, not much, but I started to get some affiliate sales on Amazon. I started to interact with other bloggers and start to see how this was all possible. And then I actually just decided I cannot do this any longer. It was just before my 30th birthday, and I had told myself, like, this next year, like, I'm gonna just keep saving. I have a number saved. Once I get that, I'm leaving. Like, I can't do it. It's not worth my sanity. I had developed stress. I was putting on weight. I started to actually have these kind of symptoms of a brain tumor. I had all these things happen because I was so stressed out. So if you're like me, I understand, but you're not stuck there. Your thinking is stuck. You can change where your situation is and what you want to do if you did what I did and make a plan to escape. So again, I saved. I was just about to do it. I was about a couple months away from that number I thought was it. And then guess what happened? I got the job that I didn't want from 18 months ago. In fact, it was handed to me. So I was like, wow, what do I do? Do I stick around? Is it worth the money? I had that golden handcuffs. I didn't know what to do. And I'll never forget it. I said, okay, I will give it 3 months. I will give it 1 quarter because maybe I can make some extra money to kind of stockpile away from my business. And you know what? Maybe I'll like it and want to stick around because I started to tell my family and a few friends, and people thought I was nuts. You're going to quit a 6-figure job to try and start a blog and be a writer? You got to be kidding me. People just didn't even think this was an option. And you know what? That led to me doubting myself. So if you start to tell anyone your dreams and they doubt you, please do not worry. Again, people are going to doubt you on this epic journey that you're on. That's part of the process. Usually it's the people closest to you as well. But again, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it my 90 days. And you know what? I actually crushed the new job. I got one of the best quarters of anyone that's ever been in the job. I made a shit ton of money. But you know what? I was still miserable, and I was like, I'm done. And so finally, as soon as I got my biggest commission check, it was over $15,000 on April 29th of 2017. I quit my six-figure job, and it was the greatest day ever because I felt this relief. I felt instantly like there was just this burden lifted off my shoulders. And I did it. I was actually, ready to become the next version of me. I was just before I was turning 30 years old. And as I got started, it was the craziest thing. I remember the first Monday, I just didn't have to go to work. I couldn't believe no one was asking where I was. I was answering stupid emails or having to go to a place I didn't like. But it was crazy. It was just such a different thing. But here is the thing. Now that I've been at it for 2 years, I made a lot of mistakes. And to be honest with you, most people would have quit if they were going through what I went through. So I want to make sure you don't have these things happen to you because, again, I want to set you up for success. And I want to help you speed up success with this YouTube and blog and podcast because it's doable, and it's more than doable if you have some of these secrets. So what was the biggest thing I messed up on? Well, the biggest thing was to not have any recurring income when I left. When I quit my six-figure job, I had made $200 or so from my blog. That was it. Literally, I went from making, six figures to making absolutely nothing. I didn't have any side hustles lined up. I just told myself I'd figure it out. Well, it has been 2 years. I have figured it out. I have built several parts of my business, but it created a ton of stress, a negative mindset, a scarcity mindset, and it did a lot of things that, looking back, I wish I would have scaled it, and I wish I would have spent more time outside of work, actually working on my business, testing out my ideas, and growing my online community. So that's the biggest thing I want to recommend to you. If you want to quit your job, I love it, but make sure you have a plan and make sure you're actually making money before you quit. Because you need some certainty in your life when you quit. You need to make sure you have some money coming in. You need to make sure you have money saved because you want to make sure you're projecting the right vibrations out there. And if you're worrying about stressed out all the time, you don't have money, and you're just operating from scarcity, that's usually what you're going to attract back in your life. And that's exactly what I did. So do not do that. Make sure you're having a plan made and that you're actually making money, even if it's a few $1,000s a month, so that way you know it can scale. All right, the second thing, if you want to actually quit your job and make it successful in the long run, is that you have to cut your overhead if possible. If you want to be a digital entrepreneur and you're just getting started and you've never built an online business before, it is crucial for you to actually cut your costs, because if you have $5,000 of overhead from an expensive mortgage or a really nice apartment that costs a lot of money, or car payments and everything else, it is going to add undue stress and it will increase your chances of failure. So that was a big thing that I did, is that I cut down on everything. Our mortgage is $1,000. I had a very low car payment. I cut all kinds of unnecessary costs, like cable. That's like $200. If you don't watch TV, cut the cable. Go for Netflix. Find ways to keep your costs low, because once you start making money as an entrepreneur, it is vital to reinvest in yourself and in your business with hiring freelancers and just helping people, grow your business, because that's the biggest thing people don't understand. And I made the biggest mistake too. I thought if I made $5,000 from a client, or if I did something, I just get all that $5,000. Well, you still have to worry about taxes. You need to worry about overhead costs for your business and for your life. So it's crucial. Please, I'm begging you to cut your costs. Make it easier on yourself. Gary Vee talks about this a lot, and I think this is a very, very crucial tip. The third thing and the final piece of advice that I recommend for you here is to start believing in yourself. You have to have an unrelenting belief in yourself to build an online business or to do anything epic in your life. People will tell you that it won't work. People will doubt you. You will doubt yourself. You're going to go through more shit than you ever realized. But if you have the right mindset, you'll understand that it's just temporary and that it's just a season in your life. But you have to have the mindset. Prior to being an entrepreneur, I had done zero personal development. Now I go to seminars. I've walked on fire with Tony Robbins. I've been to probably 25 events. I've attended masterminds. I've hired thousands of dollars of coaches. I bought thousands of dollars of courses because I was trying to upgrade my mindset. Because if you have the right mindset, you will succeed. Let me say that again. If you have the right mindset, you will succeed. But it's easier said than done. You can't just quit your job as a 9-to-5 employee and just think you're going to have this unbelievable mindset. You need to listen to podcasts, read books, find people doing what you want to do so you can cultivate an unrelenting belief in yourself. Because if not, honestly, it's a tough road sometimes. And if you don't have the right mindset, it's easy to just give up and go back to letting your dreams die. And I do not want that. So again, spend time, spend money on yourself because you are worth it, and you can absolutely do this if you upgrade your mindset for success. All right, well, I'm fired up. I hope you are fired up. And if you're ready to quit your job and you have questions that I didn't cover in this video, let me know down in the comment box. I want to help you. I want to answer any questions. There's a lot more that I did, and I cover a lot of it on my blog and on the podcast as well. So make sure to check those out. And if you like this kind of video content, you want to build an online business and you want to actually scale it and you want to have the mindset for success, make sure to hit subscribe, turn on those notifications so that way you do not miss any of this content. So again, thanks for spending time with me today. And if I can help you out in any way, please let me know down in the comment below. Thanks again. Have an epic day.